Welcome to Angels in the Glen. In the Daniel 6 study, we're going to see a contrast between the laws of the Medes and Persians and the laws of God. Now, the Babylonian Empire has fallen to the Medo-Persian Empire, and Darius is in charge. Daniel is also very old, and he's well into his 80s, but even despite his old age, he's still distinguishing himself in the government. And Darius notices this, and he decides to place him over the whole of the kingdom. Now, this causes jealousy with the other satraps and commissioners, and they plot for Daniel's demise. Now, you may know this story. This is where Daniel gets thrown into the lion's den. Now, we're going to cover all those details and more, but we want you to, there's a larger theme going on here, because the commissioners and satraps accused Daniel in accordance with the laws of his God. Right? They accuse him in accordance with the laws of his God. That is, Daniel proactively pursues obedience, and that's how they trap him. All right? And what's interesting about this story is the pattern of this story gives us the exact pattern of what's going to happen in end-time events, because God's people will be accused of proactively obeying God's commandments. Take a look on the screen. I want you to see how this works. Look at Revelation 12:17. It says this, "So the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her children who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus." Now I'll say this, the dragon is the devil, that serpent, Satan. The dragon is Satan. And he is enraged with the woman, that's in context the heavenly Jerusalem and the church on earth, but he goes off to make war with people who keep the commandments of God. All right, now we're going to study all this when we get to Revelation 13, but that war is the mark of the beast. All right, that's the mark of the beast struggle. But the dragon goes off to make war with who? People who proactively pursue obedience to God. Now, in the same way that Daniel proactively pursues obedience to his God despite the threat of death and being thrown in the lion's den, so too God's people are going to still proactively pursue obedience to God in end time, spiritual end times, and they're going to pursue and endure and persevere through the mark of the beast struggle. Look at the screen, Revelation 14 verse 12. Here is the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. Now, in the context here, those people who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus, they have the perseverance, the endurance, the patient endurance to weather through the mark of the beast struggle. They'll come through because God will deliver them just like he delivered Daniel. You can watch the whole video on the link below. Go to angelsintheglen.org. That's angelsintheglen.org. This is a two-part study, but this is a series of studies that will take you through the entire book of Daniel and key chapters in Revelation, because God wants his people to understand the events that must take place before Christ returns. We want you to understand the first angel's message, the second angel's message, the third angel's message, especially the third angel's message, because the third angel's message is about not taking the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast struggle is about to engulf the whole world. Now, it's not a time to fear, it's a time to be ready, and God wants his people ready. I hope you'll join us.